And we're back.
Back on another round of
Road to Code.
code.
We got the part 3 of a potentially a 4-part series here. But we might be able to knock this one out today. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Without delay, you want to share your screen and we'll continue on with the update.
All right.
Significant.
Open up the significant. I'm going to open up SQL Server too.
Uh-oh. Watch out. Let's not get too crazy now.
All right.
So we're going to do the update today. So I think you know what the first step's going to be. You're already pointing at it.
Yeah. So we're going to create record.
No, you already have create record on line 33.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
going to be update record.
Update.
Yeah.
Pushing buttons over here.
Updater.
Update record.
Update record.
Oops.
Look at you, man. You just autopilot right now. I haven't said anything. You're just going, go, go, go. I love it.
Now that we made our little section here.
Yeah, that made our little method there. So I'm trying to think of like update record would be the right track to take, but we also need to specify like what record you're going to update. So I guess like, can you collapse create record on line 53? And then collapse display record and collapse list birthdays. Okay, so I guess it is display record that we need to see. Go ahead and expand 79. So here, it looks like we're asking the user to provide the record ID, right? So we might want to do the same thing on the update.
Okay.
So we'll start off the same way and we'll say, hey, console write. Just so that we can see a little bit more of the display record. Can you scroll down so that line 48 is at the top of the screen? Yeah, because we're gonna need some of that code as well, and it'll be good to be able to read it. So when you get the record, right, the record is going to be so when we get the record, let's go and get the record. So now what we have a combination of a little bit of what's in list birthdays and a little bit of what's in display record. So we need to go read the record. So we're going to need to display that record, but at the same time, we need to update that record when we read it. So I would say, let's do something very similar. We're actually doing the exact same thing that's in display record. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this would be a good opportunity to refactor and be able to reuse what's in display record. So read line. Okay. So I'm going to show you a trick that Visual Studio does. You're going to highlight line 84 all the way to 116.
Okay.
So you actually should start at line 61. Oh yeah, you could do that. I was going to say start at 116 and then highlight backwards.
Okay.
It might be better that way.
84.
84, yeah. And then right click somewhere in that blue area. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to quick actions and refactoring, the very first choice. And we're going to say extract this as a method. So the first option, extract method. Yeah, and give this a name. Give it get record by ID. You see what that did?
Yeah.
So this basically extracts that piece of code and creates its method. And it reads the fact that like, hey, you're using a variable that you're not included in this highlighted section, and it passes it in as a parameter.
Okay.
So line 88 receives your record ID, and so you can reuse it. So we can go ahead and press enter. Nice. So after line 51, create a new line. And you're going to call get record by ID. And you're going to pass in that record ID as a parameter. So this is going to display the record. And then from this point, you're going to go do the same thing as go ahead and collapse get record by ID on line 89. And you can go ahead and collapse display record 81. And let's expand 55. So now we're going to do what we did with create record.
Okay.
So you're gonna display them the record, and you're gonna say, okay, now what do you want the first name to be? What do you want the birthday to be? What do you want the date of death to be?
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't provide anything, this is where it would be nice to have an object, but I don't want to do that yet. I want to go ahead and just go through this. Go ahead. Okay, let's go ahead and do what we're doing with create record. We're going to refactor this. We are going to go into part 4 because we're going to refactor this to be able to reuse this with some objects. But we'll do that in the next one. Let's just go through this exercise right now.
Okay.
So you're basically going to do the same thing. Console write line, full name. You get to type it out, or console write full name.
And we're going to console write the date of birth too.
Yeah, all of them.
Okay.
Date of birth, date of death, and notoriety. So yeah, so we're gonna do the same exact thing as the insert, except that this time we're gonna call the birthdays underscore update. And then there's one extra parameter that we need to provide, but it's basically, again, the same thing. The using statement to create the command, the using statement to create the SQL command, or the connection, and then the command.
Okay.
Remember, you want to let Visual Studio do work for you. So this time we're going to call the birthdates underscore update. We add the parameters. We're going to add the same ones, but we need to add also the @ID, because now we're telling it to update a record, and we need to tell it what record to update, and that's based on the ID itself.
Okay. So we start with the ID first.
Correct. Yep. And we don't even have to wait, because it's just going to relist our records and the updates will show automatically. Let's run it, see what we get. I'm feeling pretty good about this one.
Yeah.
Not exactly the way I wanted to implement it, but I think when we refactor it, we should be a little better. So let's go ahead and update. And let's update, who's BizStone? Let's update BizStone. So BizStone, let's change that name to Sharon Stone. I think she's an actress, isn't she?
Sure.
All right. And we'll go ahead and re-enter her birthday to be the same one, 3/10/1974. And she's still alive, so just press enter. And Sharon Stone is an actress. And press enter. Whoa, ho, ho.
Oh.
That's pretty cool. Go ahead and display that record again.
Okay.
So it is R
Mm-hmm.
and 6. That's
What?
pretty cool. And then it'll go away and then it'll just come back. Pretty neat, huh?
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
So let's go ahead and implement the delete. And then, so what I want to do is in this part 3, we'll implement the delete. We'll finish up our CRUD. And then on part 4, what I want to do is I want to refactor this and start like moving the code into different files so that we can utilize that instead. We'll implement some changes to, you know, spread the love among files, you know. So yeah, so do a control MO. This is a nice little trick. Watch.
Whoa.
Collapses everything. And then go ahead and expand the main method. And in here, we're going to implement the delete record. Down in line 42. Yeah. Nice. So the delete is going to be pretty much just like the update, except that we're only going to pass in the ID because that's all it needs.
All right.
So you expand your update and you're just going to use, starting from line 66, you'll use all that code, except you're going to call birthdates underscore delete.
Okay.
And you only have to pass in the @ID. You don't need full name, date of birth, or nothing. It just needs the ID and that's it. Go to it. Yeah, so that's the whole concept of execute non-query, right? Is that you just want the store procedure to do something. You don't necessarily need results. It's not like the listing of the records or or grabbing the record by the ID where you're actually expecting something back, right? Your update and your delete and your insert. You don't need any information back. Just saying, just go and execute this command. That's why it's called non-query, because the query results are not coming back. So that will delete it. It's running, man. Let's see what we got. I'm excited.
All right.
And let's get rid of John Travolta.
Oh no.
Boom. Let's go through the whole CRUD. Let's go ahead and create a record.
Okay. What are we gonna add?
I don't know. Let's see. Joe Biden. Oh man, he was born 1922, 23, 30. I'm not sure how old the guy is. Let's do him a favor. Let's tell him let's say 1940.
Okay.
I don't know when Biden's birthday is.
Still alive.
Still alive. He's our president.
There he is.
And then let's go ahead and read that record. Nice. Okay. And then once that goes away, we'll go ahead and update it. All right. So let's change his name to let's instead of Joe Biden, let's put what's the guy's name that was a VP for Clinton?
The guy's name.
Al Gore.
Oh, okay. Date of birth?
I don't know. 1950. Sounds about right. 1953. I like those odd numbers. 1953 might even be prime.
Date of death?
He's still alive.
Alive?
Yeah, he created the internet.
So he's basically living forever now. He's on the internet.
That's right.
President.
Excellent. And then let's go ahead and delete Al Gore. Nice. It all works the way it's supposed to. Very cool. How are you feeling?
That was pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, imagine like we have the database where you're storing some data. You have this, piece of software that can communicate with the database. And just imagine building a website with this. So what I want to do is I want to separate all this code into different projects and different files so that we can go and separate it and position ourselves to go from a console application into an API. While you're learning React, we're going to go ahead and exercise your HTML, your CSS, your JavaScript, and we'll go ahead and use Ajax with jQuery to make the calls to the API.
Okay.
So should be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. That was a nice little short segment there, maybe 30, 40 minutes long. And we got quite, this should have been the original series, if we didn't get stuck on SQL. It would have been done in an hour, everything. But you had to go, and I'm wondering, because I've never had that problem, although I've had that problem in a couple of times where we've had to troubleshoot why we can't connect from C# to SQL. And that's always the case, is that name pipes and TCP/IP was never enabled.
Hmm.
But what was interesting was that I think the whole time the password was wrong.
Yeah. No, and I also misspelled significant. It was with a K too.
That's
Remember?
right. Yeah, that's right. Significant with the K. Pretty crazy. Well, this concludes the whole CRUD in part 4 of this episode. I think what we're going to do is we're going to refactor this and position ourselves in such a way that we can go ahead and do a web API. And so we'll be introducing yet more tools. My goodness. Use. I mean, if you ever like start your own tool collection, you might start with like a simple 89 piece, little suitcase, of tools, right? Where you have maybe some couple of ratchets, and a few sockets, and some screwdrivers, and maybe some wrenches,
Mhm.
But then you realize it's like, man, it's like, I need a hammer. You go out and buy a hammer. You're like, oh man, I need a cat's claw, to go pull out some stubborn nails and stuff. You go get a cat's claw. And it's like, oh, I need some water pump pliers, so you got to go get the water pump pliers. And I need some diagonal cutters. And you go get diagonal cut. Next thing you know, is like you got this whole tool shed. Oh, and then you got this one odd ball size of a socket. And so you go buy one specific socket because that's the one that's not in your
for that specific job that you need to
for
get
that
done.
one job. Exactly. Development is the same way, man. You're gonna like, yeah, we need this tool, and it's gonna be a tool that you may not even use for the longest time, but you got to go get it, right?
Mhm.
So what I would do here is I would go through and check in everything. So you remember how I had you do everything from the terminal to go and check in, your code and all that stuff.
Mhm.
We're going to use Visual Studio today.
Okay.
Visual Studio, and I think we talked about this, and let's see if you remember how to do this.
We have to switch over to
A
either
new branch.
new branch. Okay.
A new branch. So you're going to create a new branch. And it's crazy windy out here.
CRUD part 2.
All lowercase.
Oh. Okay.
There you go. And so let's go to Git changes.
Yeah.
Put your comment in there.
We did update and delete.
I feel like you memorized this a lot better because you had practiced this so much when in the terminal.
Yeah.
So you pull down the little arrow, and you can commit and push at the same time.
There we go. Yeah.
And then go over to Git and do your pull request. And just as a reminder, this is a public Git repository, right?
Mm-hmm.
Made it open source. People can go and check out the code. They can go and pull it down, and as it evolves, they can play with it if they've been following the videos. Cool. Let's go. Let's go over back to Visual Studio and change back to the main branch and pull the latest.
There we go.
Nice. All right.
That's so
One
cool.
more thing. You see that little bell? Go ahead and click on that little bell. And it says you have, oh, this is update to live. Oh, okay. I thought there was another update. Maybe, did you update Visual Studio recently?
I don't remember. I think it updated. Yeah, the last couple episodes I saw it updated before.
Oh, it updated by itself?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice. Very cool. I think this concludes part 3, right?
Yep.
Of episode 10. So then we'll wait for part 4 and we'll do some refactoring and we'll separate things out. We'll do some more modeling. Remember our model from last time? That little diagram I had?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so we're gonna rework that diagram and we're gonna well, let's look at that diagram really quick. Does it even make sense what we got?
Let me do this off screen.
Yeah. So we have this little console application that has a connection. That connection has a command, and we can either tell it to give us tabular data or go and execute something non-query or scalar, which we haven't used. I don't think we are going to use it in this case. But then it gives us a result and either gives us a reader, an integer, or an object. And so it kind of has that whole concept, right, of the little model here, where you're calling SQL Server and all that stuff. So, but I think we're gonna next week we'll rework this. I'll do some playing around with it, or you know what, I might even just start a new one. I'll leave this one alone just because this represents the console kit. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna rework this to be a little different. And that's it. We'll see you guys on the next one. We'll do part 4 next.
Part 4.
Part 4.